Hello everyone, and here we go with the next set of terms from Romanticism. We are just continuing our list, and hopefully you can download what we sent to you in eBackpack. Okay, so we'll go one at a time. The word environ, a lot of us might think of environment, but to environ something is to surround it or enclose it. For example, you could say something like the city was environed by the affluent suburbs. In other words, the city was surrounded on all sides by the wealthy suburbs, right? And when something is expedient, it is convenient. This is an adjective that means practical. It's feasible that we could do it if it is expedient. Thoreau will say government is an expedient. We could use the expression that either side could break the agreement if it were expedient to do so, if it were convenient to do so. To extort, think of Tom Walker. He is extorting money by charging exorbitant interest. And to extort is to obtain by threat or force. To be guilty of extortion, for example. And feign is a very archaic word. If I fain would lie down, it means I am willing or I am pleased to lie down. That's part of a ballad that you'll read next year. Make my bed soon, mother, for I fain would lie down. We could say the traveler was fain to proceed. He was willing to proceed. The trees in the forest of Old Scratch are fair and flourishing without, but rotten to the core. To flourish is to grow or to develop. The Walker house is forlorn. It is pitifully sad, wretched, abandoned. And perhaps you could even say that Tom shows a good degree of fortitude or courage because he's not afraid of Old Scratch. The narrator comments that it might be because he's so used to living with the termagant of his wife. Courage in pain or adversity. Courage in the face of those things is fortitude, to show great fortitude. Garb is clothing. He was dressed in what could we say? The garb of a Roman for Halloween. He was dressed in the clothing or the dress. And whenever you see the root word gen, it usually means something to do with friendship or something to do with people, a generation, genial, congenial, all of those. Friendly, affable, right? Cheerful, genial. Mr. Congeniality, right? Okay, right along. Our next bunch. We all know that the grave is the place where you bury someone, but when a situation is grave as an adjective, we are saying that it is very serious, very solemn. If you've ever witnessed someone break a leg or, an injury on a sports field, sometimes it can be grotesque, meaning that it is repulsively ugly to see a leg twisted in a position that it's not supposed to be. Repulsively ugly or distorted. Now, hoard can be a noun or it could be a verb. To hoard a good deal of wealth is to gather it up, to amass, right? To put it together. But if you think about a dragon's hoard, that is a stock or store of money or treasure. A hoard, a dragon's hoard, for example. You'll see that in Beowulf next year. When you're hoarse, you are... Here we go. I hope I didn't ruin anything by touching that button. Sounding rough or harsh. In The Devil and Tom Walker, Tom is sitting down on a stump of a tree that has just been hewn down, to cut or chop. If your way is impeded, it means that your way is prevented. So it is to get in the way, an impediment, right? To delay or to prevent. To say that our team's defense is impregnable, it means it is unable to be defeated. If the castle is impregnable, we're saying it is unable to be captured. Sometimes middle school students can be impudent, meaning that they're not showing respect. They're insolent, rude perhaps. Saucy. An incantation is a spell or a magical curse. We talk about the incantations that were said at the Indian. We had incensed when we did sinners in the hands of an angry God. So as a verb, it means to anger or to infuriate. But in the Raven, the narrator talks about perfume from an incense censer. In other words, incense is material or substance burned for its sweet smell. Sometimes they will burn incense at a yoga studio to sort of set the tone for contemplation. To suffer one indignity after another is to suffer a treatment that causes shame. The indignity of needing to ask for financial help stopped him from asking anyone. Ineffable means not able to be described. I don't have the words for it. It is too awesome or too great to be described. It is ineffable. You could see the word genius here. If you're known for your ingenuity, it is the quality of being smart, the quality of being clever. And just like impregnable, when something is insuperable, it means it's impossible to overcome, impossible to conquer. And when something is inscrutable, to scrutinize something is to look it over. So if it's inscrutable, it means it's impossible to understand or comprehend. It's impossible to understand or interpret. His actions were inscrutable. Internecine is destructive to both sides in a conflict, like a war, for example. Destructive to both sides in a conflict. A lot of times you'll see this word used with regard to war. The savage internecine warfare. It hurt both sides. Let's get rid of the ness here and just say interminable. If you listen to a lecture that's interminable, it seems endless. The clock does not go fast in an interminable class. At the beginning of an epic poem, there'll be an invocation. Sometimes Father Tom will issue an invocation. It is the summoning of a deity, asking for inspiration from God or the pagan gods. The summoning of a deity or of the supernatural. An invocation. There was an invocation made to the muses before he began his poem. A knell is a bell. It's usually the word that you use for a funeral bell. To suffer from lethargy is to suffer from laziness. It is a lack of energy or enthusiasm. You're feeling lethargic. Locution is speech, right? So when you talk about someone who is known for his locution, it is a person's style of or way of speaking. For example, I could say his impeccable locution made us all eager to listen. The prefix mal, as you see here, means something bad, and diction is to talk or to speak. So a bad thing to say would be a malediction or a curse. And to malign someone is to speak evil, right? Anything that is malign is evil in nature. If you've heard of someone who ever needed a bone marrow transplant, the marrow is the soft, the soft fatty substance in the bone. The marrow. Thoreau will say he wants to suck out the marrow of life. He wants to get to the best part. And melancholy is extreme sadness, feeling of desolation, of woe. He was enveloped in melancholy. Okay, now to the very last page. Tom and his wife we are told that they are miserly, they are cheap, they are stingy. A good, powerful SAT kind of word is parsimonious. There you go. Parsimonious. Great. A moiety of something is a part or a portion. Usually, we mean the half of it. You know, we could say a half. So, in other words, I might be able to say the population was divided into two moieties, the very, very rich and the very, very poor. A morass is a swamp, you know, that kind of a marsh, sort of, a bog. And then myriad is a great number of something. She had a myriad of ideas. And that is it.